What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Very intriguing heavyweight matchup this Sunday at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. Former unified heavyweight champion, the first Mexican heavyweight champion in history, Andy the Destroyer Ruiz, taking on perennial heavyweight contender, fighting out of the southpaw stance, Luis King Kong Ortiz. Now Ruiz is orthodox, and it's gonna make for a very intriguing matchup. I think it's gonna be a lot of early fill-out rounds starting this fight off, but I think the action is gonna pick up quickly, and I think this fight is gonna be about pace. Because if Andy Ruiz is fighting at Luis Ortiz's pace, he's going to have a hard time winning this fight. Now, Andy Ruiz is the shorter fighter. He has the shorter reach, so he must close distance. He must get inside. He must get off his combinations. But he cannot come through the front door unannounced. He must come in responsibly behind the jab. He must use angles. He must use his speed advantage as an advantage that is prevalent throughout this fight. Now, Luis Ortiz must use the jab. He must control distance. He must look to set up the left hand. Luis Ortiz is a guy that likes to pot shot from the outside. He's got a Cuban pedigree, background, very high boxing IQ. But I kind of wonder about his punch resistance. That last fight versus Charles Martin was very alarming in my eyes watching that fight, man. He was able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and win that fight, but he was down on the cards. He had got dropped twice in that fight, and he was looking very shaky in that fight. I thought the end was near for Luis Ortiz in that fight, because if he lost that fight, man, you know, there would have been a case to be made that he should have retired, or he would have been put in the category of a gatekeeper if he would have continued to fight and if he would have lost that fight with Charles Martin. But he was able to pull the rabbit out of the hat, and he was able to get the victory. Now, I was watching the media workout yesterday, and Luis Ortiz looked in tremendous shape. Now, Andy Ruiz looked in good shape for him. He had the shirt on. He did not take his shirt off. Both guys had their shirt on, but you can just look at Luis Ortiz and tell that he was in tremendous shape. And I believe Andy Ruiz is in good shape for him. He's never going to be Mr. Adonis, but he cannot be like he was in that second AJ fight. That was a disgrace coming into that fight in that type of shape. And that was the reason, the main reason why he lost his WBO, IBF, and WBA titles down there in Saudi Arabia. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. But this is a very close and competitive fight. This is a true 50-50 fight. Andy Ruiz has a speed advantage. Luis Ortiz has the technical advantage, but it's not like Andy Ruiz is not a good technically sound fighter either. He's a good guy as far as that goes, but he's not on the level of a Luis Ortiz, who has that Cuban pedigree. What I like about Luis Ortiz, he has a mean streak. You know, that's what I like about Terrence Crawford, man. Terrence Crawford has a mean streak. He's trying to get you up out of there, and he's got bad intentions on his mind when he's in the ring with you. And I look at Luis Ortiz with that same mindset. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires, man. But I think Andy Ruiz wins this fight by controversial split decision. You got to understand that he is the money man in this fight. He is the A side in this fight. This fight is taking place in his neck of the woods. I don't know if he's from Los Angeles, California, but it's taking place in his neck of the woods. If he's not from Los Angeles, he's from the surrounding LA area, as he will have a huge fan base out there in attendance for this fight. So Luis Ortiz needs to know that. He needs to be putting strong rounds together, and he needs to be looking for the knockout, because if he leaves this fight in the hands of the judges, and if it's competitive, he could get the short end of the stick, as the PBC is looking to make early part of 2023 Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. That would be a mega fight that could take place on Cinco de Mayo 2023. Now, they're going to have to fight Canelo Alvarez for that date, but Canelo Alvarez came out here the other day saying he ain't fighting no Mexicans. So if he fights another European fighter, you know, maybe he does the Bivol rematch. If he fights him again, and as we know, those pay-per-view numbers for that fight was the lowest in a long time for Canelo pay-per-view fights. So if he looks to fight him again, I wouldn't put it past the PBC to put Deontay Wilder on that same date versus Luis Ortiz. My bad, against Andy Ruiz on Cinco de Mayo weekend. And that fight probably will be held in a higher regard for the Latino fan base than a Canelo Alvarez versus Dimitri Bivol rematch. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I don't know if that's the case, because Canelo Alvarez, along with Anthony Joshua, is a guy that's in that category of it don't matter who they fight. It's going to sell. It's going to do a good gate. And it's going to do good pay-per-view numbers. So, but again, Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz, that's a strong fight. That's a strong fight. But if I had to guess, I would think that the PBC will put that fight on another date. And I think Canelo Alvarez has that date locked down for the foreseeable future. But we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But Luis Ortiz must control the pace. He must fight at his pace. He must slow down Andy Ruiz's pace, because Andy Ruiz is going to be looking to go to the body. He's going to be looking to take away the older fighter's legs in Luis Ortiz. He's going to be looking to break down Luis Ortiz. Now, Andy Ruiz has got dropped twice in his last fight versus Chris Arreola. If he gets drops in this fight versus Luis Ortiz, that could be the recipe for the disaster, because Luis Ortiz knows how to close the show. He knows how to close the show. Once he dropped Charles Martin, he closed the show. So Andy Ruiz is a guy that has showed the ability to get up off the canvas and come back and win a fight. He did that in the first AJ fight, and he did that in the Chris Arreola fight. And I won't be a bit surprised if both fighters touch the canvas in this fight. This is going to be a very entertaining matchup. Both guys are hungry. Both guys know this fight is a WBC eliminator. Both guys know this win will put them one step closer to a title fight, and they'll lay it all on the line come September 4th, Labor Day weekend. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But this is a very, very intriguing matchup. Now, Andy Ruiz is going to have to come in. He's going to have to close distance. Make no mistake about it. He's going to have to use the Joe Frazier Baldwin weed to close distance, get inside, come in behind the jab, and look to go to the body and break down Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz must make him pay for trying to get inside, and he must touch him with that left hand, and he must catch him with the left hook and make him pay for trying to get close to him. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I'll holla.